Okay, so let's talk brows. I never used to fill in my brows, but now that I do, like I always like feel like naked without them, I guess. It's something feels like it's missing if I don't fill in my brows because it really does make a big difference in how your overall looks. Like if you're just doing a lazy day around the house, you might not need to do it. But if you are doing like a full face and you don't fill in your brows, something's gonna look a little off balance. So let's chat about how to fill in your brows. And I promise it's not that scary. It takes a little bit. Like the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. But promise, like play around with it and you'll be fine. Okay, so first of all, let's talk brow shape. So to get your brows kind of in shape, the thing you want to know is that your brow shouldn't go further in than this line. So you take like a pen and just go straight up your nose, and that should be the end of your eyebrow. Okay, then you go through your pupil, and that should be your arch. So if you are like mapping this out, you can go like in with a little pencil or something like that and like make little dots, okay? And then the tail should end, you should go from the tip of your nose to the edge of your eye to here. So that should be the end of your eyebrow, okay? So when you're starting this and you're trying to kind of map out how to fill in your eyebrows or how to like shape them, that's what you should do, okay? This should be the end over here. This should be your arch. That should be the highest point of your brow. And then it shouldn't go further than this corner, okay? Pretty easy. All right. And then how to fill them in. We have lots of products. So we do actually have a specific BrowSense brow filler that's kind of like lipstick or lip sense, lip sense for your eyebrows. It's kind of the same formula. And then it has this nice little brush that you'd go through and brush it in. And then the spoolie brush at the end that you'd brush everything out, okay? There are 4 colors in this one. This is light and it works pretty well for me. I could probably do dark as well. And then there's an onyx and an auburn and a black, maybe? Oh, now I'm losing it. But there are 4 colors of the BrowSense, okay? But my favorite option for filling in brows is actually ShadowSense. And this is why. There are so many different colors that you can use because your brows can really, there's so many different colors of brows, and depending on your hair color, depending on your mood, you might want something a little bit more fierce, a little bit more neutral. So ShadowSense, there's such a big variety of colors that you could use. If you have blonde hair and like really blonde eyebrows, Mocha Java would be a really good one for you, okay? It's going to give a little bit of color, but still be like light. Sometimes I even use this to fill in my brows when I want something that's super natural to kind of fill in the little dark spots or the blank spots, but I don't necessarily need anything too dark. So Mocha Java is really good if you have really light hair. The ones that I usually use are Smoked Topaz and Rustic Brown. Okay, Smoked Topaz is kind of a grayish color, but because it has such cool tones, it works really well with eyebrows. Because eyebrows are usually on the cooler side, even if you have warmer toned hair, they're just a little bit cooler. Okay, so that works really well. And then Rustic Brown, again, is our like neutral brown. So I love using this as well. But you could also use garnet. If you have warmer toned hair, if you have like red hair, you could use garnet in your brows. I've actually also used French roast. Sorry, that was burgundy. I've used French roast as well. Okay, I've used this in my brows. So again, this is if you have like more berry undertones. Or if you have really, really dark eyebrows, you could even use onyx, okay? Possibilities are endless. And then speaking of that, if you have our iSense pencil, you could use the black or black brown iSense pencil to pencil them in, essentially. I'm hoping for a brow brush or brow pencil, but it hasn't happened yet. But you can use our iSense pencils as brow filler as well. So I am going to do something a little funny. It's going to look a little weird, but I'm going to do BrowSense in one and ShadowSense in the other, just so you can see them compared to each other in one video, okay? So, again, this is the BrowSense in light. I'm going to show you how easy you just kind of go and you color through where your brows are. I will say, since I got the color light for the BrowSense, this is more of like a neutral, like natural brow for me. It looks really natural because the color's not too crazy. I think if I would get it again, I probably would get the darker color. It was just so hard to pick. Taupe is the other one. Taupe is the other one, because I had tried taupe a few years ago and it wasn't quite right for me. So there's taupe, light, dark, and auburn. So those are the couple. Mm-hmm. So, little tip, honestly, sometimes I feel like brushing against the grain helps get the color where I need it to go, because it kind of moves the eyebrow hairs out of your way when you go against the grain. And now I'm just going to take the spoolie brush and gently brush through. Okay. And I'm just like looking at my brows up close. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to tweeze them. Okay. So, didn't that make a big difference? Like, filling in your brows is like a big step. Big step. Okay. Now, for ShadowSense, same technique overall, just painting it on essentially and then brushing it through. So these are really nice, like eyebrow brushes essentially. They have an angled brush on one side and a spoolie on the other side. All you do is just take the color off the wand, which mine looks crazy because I took the stopper out to get all the rest of it, and then you draw it on. I will say, I feel like I have more control with this brush over the other brush, because the other one kind of is a little bit more flexible, like bendable. But I have thought about like trimming it down a little bit so it's not so flexible, but I haven't done that yet. So I do feel like I have a little bit more precision with this angled brush. Okay. We will brush it through. And there you go. So this is my ShadowSense versus my BrowSense. Okay. What do you think? Okay, one more thing. When you're done filling in your brows with whatever color you want, if you want to make sure they're nice and clean, take your like concealer and kind of outline them. Okay, I'm going above and below, and then I'm just taking a brush to kind of blend out that line. Okay, so it just really cleans it up to do this step. Okay, not a necessary step, but sometimes when you're like brushing it out with the spoolie, the pigment kind of disperses a little bit. So this kind of goes over and covers up anywhere that might have gotten a little bit discolored and just kind of cleans it up and makes those lines nice and sharp. So there you go. It looks crazy having two different brows, but it's essentially the same. Okay, if you have any questions or need help picking out which product or color would be right for you, please let me know. Bye.